Yeah, he said he's just starting to use some sort of tax program. He's just learning it. And it's like, I don't think I want somebody learning on me. You only retire once. You don't want to be their it's like the student driver. You don't want to have a student tax person. Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio, where we help people overcome the uncertainty of having enough retirement income. I'm your host, Eric Heckman, a certified financial planner with over 30 years of experience. We want you to enjoy life and not have to wonder where your money will come from and how long it'll last. My mission is to show you how to develop a personalized income plan so you can retire more and have worry less wealth. Here at Wealth Creator Radio, we cut through the noise and get straight to what matters. We understand that the world of retirement planning can be filled with confusing products, ever-changing tax laws, and volatile markets. That's why we're here to help successful people like you navigate the uncertainty and create a blueprint for a thriving, work-optional life.
Resolutions are so easy to make, and we all know they're even easier to break. So what we're going to do today is look ahead, and we're going to think about practical goals for the new year. And if you could use some guidance on creating and sticking to your financial goals, here's the number for you to take down. This is the way you can reach out to Eric and our team at Heckman Financial. 800-454-1184. You may call that number or text the word visit if you prefer texting. And remember, our website is wealthcreatorradio.com. The other thing we want to offer you is our toolbox. You can text the word toolbox to the same number, 800-454-1184, and you'll hear us talk about that throughout the entire show. Eric, so excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, good to be here, and Happy New Year. And
yeah. Happy New Year, another new year. Do you know we're starting our 10th year together?
Wow, that's great.
10 years. We've been saying Happy New Year for 10 years. And making New Year's resolutions together. What's on your list of New Year's resolutions for 2026?
Yeah, well, I always like to have an actual theme. So mine's all about elevating. So elevating my team, elevating my clients, and elevating our service level and everything that we can. So trying to make things a lot better. And, it's not just something you do once. It's all throughout the year. So
yeah,
a little different than just a resolution that you try to get and be there and be done. Right. So, I like it to be a little bit more ongoing.
I love that. Elevating. Love that. Yeah. Very, very good. So, millions of Americans make resolutions every single year. We know that, but a lot of us don't have any real hopes of achieving our goals. Researchers say that only 9% of Americans who make New Year's resolutions actually complete them. So that's pretty sad. How important is it then to set goals that are actually attainable, Eric?
Well, I mean, it's not that the goals weren't attainable. It's just there was no discipline or there was no method, right, to reaching those goals. So, So, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, nowadays with AI, you can say, hey, give me a 5-week, 10-week, whatever plan to achieve this goal. Right. And that way you're doing it piece by piece. So there's lots of tools out there now to help people out. But you need to, it's not more about not achieving them or making them that they're too hard. It's just people don't have any discipline to follow through. And then they say, oh, it sounds good. And never mind.
Yeah. And then never mind.
Yep.
And it seems like we all make physical resolutions, but how helpful would it be to make financial New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, those are critical, really, because those are stuff that you really should be looking at. I mean, obviously, when you're talking about New Year's resolutions, right after that, we have tax time, right? So I often find tax time is one of the best times for you to really relook at your financial picture because you're getting all your financial documents, right? You have to get it all ready for taxes and have them all out. So once you do have all those documents, how did you do? The market in 2026 was great. The international market was even better, and so hopefully your balances went up. But what's the tax liabilities? How much tax stuff are you getting? Are you funding your retirement plans enough? Are you maxing out on those Roth? Have you been doing Roth conversions? There's lots of stuff to be looking at, and it's just a matter of taking the time to do that. And we all get busy, right? And lots of times people even use the excuse of tax time, saying I can't do any planning because I have to do taxes. It's like, well, that's all your stuff's out, right? It's this is the easiest time. Usually when people if we're trying to do it at a different time of the year, it's like, oh, I have to get all my numbers. It's like, well, you got them all sitting there, right? So, if they're already sitting there, they're already out. This is the time to go one step more and get that personalized income plan, started. That's one of the critical things that people need to have and make sure they're really on track.
It's easy to feel motivated at the start of the year, but sometimes we do get sidetracked like we're talking about. How do you guys act as an accountability partner when you're helping someone work toward their financial goals, Eric? Just kind of like what you said.
Yeah, no, I mean, having an accountability partner is definitely always great. Last year when my youngest son decided to go on the East Coast Greenway, ride from Key West to Canada with me. The nice thing is, we had some serious accountability partner stuff going the whole route, right? You have to keep going, even though sometimes those 6 a.m. mornings were a little brutal.
Oh, God.
But at least having somebody else there to help you it makes it a lot easier. And, especially with finances, because there's a lot of stuff that you don't know. And, when do you want to know about the things you don't know? Well, as soon as you can, right? So reaching out to having somebody there, with the tax law changes, with the, different retirement, numbers and all these other things, there's always these little tiny tweaks that you can do. And if you can do those soon enough, they make a huge difference. But if you wait till you're, 1 or 2 years from retirement, they don't, they don't make much of a change. So really what we want to do is plan that ahead, make sure we have that in place. And, that's one of the reasons we built up the digital toolbox. All about education. We want to make sure people, get some good info. And so, once you get into that toolbox, it's nice because you've got stuff like, will my money last as long as I do? Am I paying too much money in taxes and retirement? There's also a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. And then you can even set a time to talk with somebody here at Heckman Financial. So all you got to do is super simple. Just text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or click the link below if you're watching online.
And thank you for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial. One thing I want to ask you, Eric, as we're looking ahead to the new year, do you have many events planned for 2026?
No, we've always got something going on. We've got some client events, which are kind of more fun. We always do a Galentine's. I'm not allowed to go there. It's women only.
Because it's for the gals.
Yeah. So we always do that. That's kind of more fun. We've got some dinner events, some live dinner events. We're still doing a couple of the movie events, the psychology of retirement. And so, that's one of the things that people can do too, is look at our events page and, sign up for some of that stuff. Because again, it's a lot of times it's, there's one thing if you're watching stuff online or listening, but when you're there in human format, it's a lot nicer, right? You get to actually talk to people, you get to interact, and especially after COVID, we all know it's a little bit nicer having some real interaction, right? And I find you learn a lot better if you're there in person. You're a little bit more focused. So it's one of the things that people should be really doing is taking advantage of some of those times to get out there and learn more. And again, it's all about education, making sure you know where you are and if you're on track for retirement.
Yeah. And community is so important. So I love that you do that for your clients and their friends. So getting back to our New Year's resolutions, sometimes we set goals, but then things change because life throws us a curveball. So talk about that and how you help people make adjustments to their retirement plan when life throws them a curveball.
Yeah, there's always something. I even tell people, do you have a fund that's for the thing that you won't ever happen, but happens every year? Because, there's always something, right?
Right.
It might be a water leak. It might be a new water heater. It might be, whatever, car repairs, other things. So there's always going to be something. Now, sometimes they're bigger than others. I've got a lot of, I guess you'd say, tough conversations with clients sometimes about should you be helping your children, your adult children out that much? Because you can help yourself, but there's no financial aid for retirement. And if you keep gifting to your kids and then you're spending all your money, who's going to take care of you when you're a lot older if you run out faster? So, Yeah, I've literally had a couple of those conversations recently, so it's been a little tougher.
Yeah.
But so that's one of the things we want to look at is making sure everything's on track. Those speed bumps come up, but you just have to handle them and know what to do. But again, that's why we set up that digital toolbox for you to get some information. So all you have to do is text word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text word toolbox 800-454-1184, or click on the link below if you're watching online.
Are you happy with your Medicare plan? Even if you are, what was good for you this year might not be what's best for you next year. The team at Heckman Financial can help you sort through all the options to find the best one for you. Call now, 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184.
Hi there. So happy to have you along with us. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. A good financial advisor is going to help you reach your retirement goals. A poor advisor, on the other hand, can hold you back. So you might say that the wrong financial advice is actually worse than going it alone in retirement. Eric, do you think that's fair to say?
Well, it kind of depends on what the advice you're getting, right? So some might be better, some might not be so good. My problem with my own industry is there's a lot of people that are actually just investment managers. So they, their goal is to take your pot of money and help grow it. There's no conversations about how to take the money out. There's no real conversations of how to spend the money, which bucket of money. Do you spend your 401k and IRA assets first? Do you spend your savings account? Do you spend your regular investment dollars, your Roth money? Lots of times there's zero mention of that part, and all that has a monstrous effect on your lifetime taxes. And so that has to be a something you talk about. But yeah, I'd say a lot of people, probably, I don't know, if I had to guess, about 70-80% of the people in my business don't do that, which is fine if you're 20 to 50,
right?
But if you're late 50s, 60s, and 70s, that's not what you need anymore.
Right. And I think that's the problem. You get my age and then we don't know. We're not taught what to do. All along, we're taught to save, save, save. And then like you pointed out, we don't know from where to take the money, and then taxes we're going to get hit with taxes on that. So we'll get into that more. I want you to tell us how can people tell if their advisor isn't right for them?
Well, a couple things. If they're mostly just doing all commission type stuff, so it's always insurance-based products or it's long-term kind of fixed things that are investments. Lots of times if they're just doing it all commission-based, if they have the term registered representative, that means they have to take commissions first. They don't have that standard of care, that fiduciary standard of care to do what's in your best interest. So really what you want to do is make sure you're working with somebody who's a registered investment advisor, somebody who has to, have that standard of care that's, in your best interest. But, it's kind of also like going to, a pediatrician, right? Pediatrician could theoretically still help you, but,
At my age.
it might look a little weird because you'll be like twice the height of most of the patients. And, and, you get the lollipop, which is cool, but
maybe a sticker.
Yeah, maybe a sticker or something like that. So that part's kind of fun still, but yeah, it's probably not really the best thing for you today, right? And so same thing there is you want to have somebody who's focused on retirement. I just recently was talking with Lisa and Todd, and we were going through, and they just recently retired. He used to have high income. Now he's living on savings and some other stuff initially. And we were, it was towards the end of the year, and when we met, and we were talking about their planning, and they should be doing a Roth conversion. And their financial advisor never mentioned anything about taxes, never looked at their tax return. Then between appointments, the next one we talked, and they said, well, yeah, he said he's just starting to use some sort of tax program. He's just learning it. And it's like, I don't think I want somebody learning on me. No. You only retire once. You don't want to be their it's like the student driver. You don't want to have a student tax person sticker to look at. So, so that's where it's assigned. And it was funny because she actually literally said, she's like, maybe he's not the advisor we need now. I mean, maybe he's not doing this. It's like, no, that's very accurate. So,
right.
And that happens, right? I mean, it's just like anything in life, right? There's some times where you use one type of person and then other times you want to have somebody else. So, it does happen. And, that's why we specialize only in retirement. We don't have any clients in their, 20s to 40s. The only ones we usually have are the ones who are the adult kids of our clients.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's why we do that specialty, because the withdrawing that money is totally different, totally, a whole new world versus, when you're putting it away, like you were saying, you were always told to put it in. When you start taking it out, you got to have some specialties there. You have to have somebody who's talking about everything, when and how to structure that.
Right. So definitely what you explained right there is a warning sign that you might need a new advisor. And like you said, if your advisor is only focusing on investing, then you might need somebody different to help you figure this out. So anything else any other warning signs?
I mean, it could be, if they're asking you about Social Security, or if they're just giving you like just the patent answer of, oh, wait till longer, you get more Social Security dollars. Well, which one gives you more net worth at age 80 or age 90? Yeah. That's the correct answer. It's not who gets more Social Security dollars. It's who gets more actual wealth.
Yeah.
And sometimes and often that means starting actually earlier. So, there's things like that. If they don't know healthcare, if they don't know Medicare, there are things like that. They might know something about it, but if they have to keep asking somebody, or they have to go keep looking that up or get back to you a lot, once or twice get back to you. But if it's several times, that might be something like, okay, well, I mean, maybe I should just go talk to AI and might do better at this point. So that's when you probably don't need to be, working with that person. Probably
that's when they need to call you.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
And I'm going to give that phone number out too, because if you're like these people that are, people that we're talking about that are just kind of lost and you're going, don't refer to AI because you need personalized attention. Yeah, exactly. And Eric and his team can help you get that at Heckman Financial. So our phone number to call or text, if you text visit 800-454-1184. That's the phone number. Call or text the word visit, or you can text the word toolbox to get this digital toolbox. Eric, explain that to us, please.
Yeah. So the digital toolbox is, basically it's a lot of quick reads, really fast downloads. I'm all about education. So it's got stuff like, will my money last as long as I do? The Social Security timing decision, like I just mentioned. Are you paying too much taxes in retirement? Got a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. And, you can also set a time to talk with us. There's a link there to book a time right then.
And I want to mention, too, that our show is available on podcasts where you get your podcast. It comes out every Tuesday morning, okay? So, wherever you listen to it on your podcast, on YouTube or whatever, just search for the name of our show, Wealth Creator Radio. And so we're so happy to have you along with us. Thank you for spending time with us today. And, there's a lot to consider, like we're talking about when it comes to financial planning for retirement. Eric, I want to know, is there a specific issue that you find is often overlooked by a typical broker or advisor?
Well, really, it's just the strategy. Is probably the best way to say it. Which pot of money do you take when? How do you lower that lifetime taxes? Because again, it's not about saving taxes this year. It's that's a lot of times, especially accountants, you see a lot of tax people say, oh, defer. Well, then once you hit 73 and you go from a 10 or 12% bracket to 24% or maybe 32% bracket, I mean, that's just, ridiculous. So, you want to level out that tax. You don't have that tax go from here to way up here and then, having to catch up. So, that's one of the most critical things, I think, is just really having the strategy of which dollars to take when and how much and, making sure that it all works and make sure that money lasts, because, always the number one fear for people is running out of money. So that's, I think, the biggest thing is just having that personalized income plan. And again, you mentioned having setting up a time to talk with us. And so, that's one of the easiest ways to get that plan. We can have that first meeting. If it makes sense to go to the next meeting, we don't even charge for that. And we'll actually show you where your plan's headed right now. So, if you want to take advantage of that, all you have to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit, 800-454-1184, or click the link below and book online.
Do you know whether your retirement plan has any weak points? Discover ways on giving your financial future the proper tune-up. Simply go online to wealthcreatortoolbox.com to gain a better understanding in taxes, Social Security, and other ways to manage your portfolio. That's wealthcreatortoolbox.com.
Hi there, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. Eric is a certified financial planner, and he is someone who is passionate about helping retirees. So happy to have you along with us today. Today we're talking about reasons your financial advisor might not be the best for you as you're heading into retirement. And so, Eric, we've talked about, signs, warning signs to kind of identify, maybe this advisor was just good for investing and getting me to where I am, and now I'm ready to retire. And maybe I do need to change advisors. And people are going to find it awkward, maybe difficult to fire their advisor, especially if they're a good friend or someone they've worked with for years. So do you have any suggestions that might help with that process?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always awkward. And obviously as an advisor myself, every once in a while, somebody leaves us too. It's fine. Somebody, it doesn't always work. It's just like friends. There's some that you hang out with more, and some you start realizing, that friend from college isn't really the same person, I want to hang out with today. Right. So kind of a little bit similar to that, but, really, if it's somebody who's more just helping you with accumulation and they're not educated on distribution and they're not really focused on how to get the most out of your dollars when you retire and pay the least lifetime taxes, then that's the time to replace the person. And, usually what we do is we just tell people it's, all you have to do is send a message saying, thanks for all your years of service. It was great working with you. We just decided to make a change and we're moving on. And, that's really all you have to do. I mean, nowadays you really don't have to even talk to the old advisor if you really didn't want to, because it's really all you're doing is typically you're just doing what they call ACAT, which is automated clearing account transfer, which is just a digital process. So if you're moving it from, say, a Schwab account moving to Fidelity or vice versa or whatever, it's usually pretty fast and simple. If you're doing a 401k, you call the 401k company and move it to your IRA. So, your advisor's not, in the middle either for that. For insurance type stuff, sometimes, there is some forms, but again, there's not really much that the other advisor's doing. It's not like they're having to, sign off and release you or something like that. So,
right.
But most advisors should have done it before, had issues before. Right. And especially if they are somebody who does more accumulation, they probably are more used to having people leave them when they're older because they need different things.
Right. So it makes sense, and they may not be surprised or anything like that, like you said. So if you think about it, and you mentioned fees and things like that, small fees, expenses add up over time, and they can eat away at your retirement money. And so there's some hidden costs, too, that we're not aware of. So talk about that for a little bit, Eric, how people can get a better handle on what they're paying for the advice they're receiving.
Yeah, I mean, that one's always a hard one because I find a lot of people just don't even know. And sometimes we have to do a little detective work from their statements to figure out what they're actually paying. So that is something just to know that. I always say, there's nothing wrong with paying a fee as long as you're getting good value, right? It's kind of like those ads about how many subscriptions do you have and all those things, right? If you're paying for Netflix, which doesn't cost that much, and you watch it several times a month, that's probably getting good value. Yeah. If you're paying for Netflix and you haven't logged in for 6 months, then that's really stupid, right? Get rid of it, right? So again, the fee is based on what's the value you're getting for that fee. Now if the person never talks to you and hasn't talked to you for 3 or 4 years and you're paying them a management fee, Yeah, that's really awful. You also have to watch out for, especially if it's like a commission brokered person, you might have things like the mutual funds may say A on them or B or C. If they have these, letters like A, B, or C, those are ones that you're paying commissions on and fees that are they're legally disclosed, but legally invisible. So they're hard to find. And so those are the ones that you got to really watch out for. There's also some trickier ones. I mean, I know there's one major company that when they manage your funds, they put you in the most expensive funds that they have. And so they have higher internal fees, but they charge you a slightly lower fee. So it sounds like they're charging you less, but they're really kind of double dipping and getting more. So it's two things you want to look for is any actual costs, right, that you see. So like, account fees, trading fees, things like that, financial management fees. But then you also want to look at the cost of the funds and investments and how much are those. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time, a little bit of analysis. So it's, but if you're working with somebody, they should be able to quickly and easily answer that question. If they can't, that's a big red flag.
That's a red flag. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Now, as far as investments go, I want to talk about investment risk because every investment does come with risk and people can be very uneasy about that. But, how can people make sure that their advisor is giving them advice regarding investments that match their comfort level?
Yeah, that one can be tough. I find a lot of advisors have a bias to their own personal risk level. So a lot of times you'll see, especially younger advisors, sometimes have a higher risk level and such. So obviously, as you get closer to retirement, closer to needing take that money, yeah, you do need to be downsizing that risk. You do need to have that number going lower. The easy way we do it is we actually have the risk score quiz that people can take. It's actually on our Wealth Creator website. And, what you do is on that, it just asks you a bunch of questions and tells you, are you good with the ups and downs, right? I mean, that's really what it's about. Nobody complains about the ups, right? It's just the downs that we don't like. And so, okay, how much can you stomach, right? Is this a roller coaster that's going to flip you around 4 or 5 times and have you upside down and you don't like roller coasters? It's like, you want to know before they strap you in, right? So that's important information. And same with the stock market. It can be quite a roller coaster sometimes. And, can you handle it? Because if you're going to bail when things go down, that's something you should have never even gotten on the ride at first. Right. So, you're just going to hurt yourself long term. So, that's one of the big things. So, one of the things that we have in our digital toolbox is, things like, will your money last as long as you do, which is critical to risk, having some of that money guaranteed, having some of that money, steady income, not having it all in the market, timing your Social Security decisions, how much you're paying in taxes, and a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. So, there's also a way to set a time to talk with us at Heckman Financial. So all you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or click the link below if you're watching online.
And you're listening to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. And, we all hope that the advice we're receiving is, truly best for us. What are some ways people can tell and can ensure that their advisor is genuinely looking out for their best interests?
Yeah, this is where our industry gets, I don't know if you want to just say annoyingly, maybe is a good word, annoyingly complex or something. So, you hope all doctors take care of you in the best manner possible. You hope they're not pushing one drug versus another drug because of that drug company took them on a vacation or something. Yeah. But who knows if they are or aren't, right? And same with the financial advisors. One thing is if they have a thing called registered representative on their card, that means they have a suitability standard of care, which is basically anybody who's in your demographic. It could be the worst product, but if it fits your demographic, it's okay. If it's fiduciary standard of care, that means these are usually registered investment advisors, like ourselves. This means you have a fiduciary standard of care, which is this in your best interest? And, then you have to actually use the lowest cost products and you have to use the best things for people. So you'd hope our whole industry at some point goes to this, that fiduciary standard care, but Unfortunately they still haven't. And some companies that sell all their own products, it's really tough for them to ever qualify for that because a lot of times your product's not the best. So you have to use other companies. So if you're beholden to one company, it's going to be tougher. But, but again, that's why we want to be educated. So that's why we set up that digital toolbox. So if you want to get access, all you got to do is text the word toolbox 800-454-1184. Again, toolbox 800-454-1184, or click the link below if you're watching online.
Be sure to like and subscribe to Wealth Creator Radio so you can stay up to date on ways to build your wealth and create a retirement you and your family will enjoy for years to come. Like and subscribe today and create your wealth for tomorrow with Wealth Creator Radio.
Hi, I'm Luann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. So happy that you are joining us today. It's time now for our mailbag segment of our show. I love this, where I bring some retiree questions to Eric and he answers them on the air. So you ready to get started, Eric?
Yep.
All right, here we go. First question from Mike. I've had a steady corporate job for 35 years, and my wife has taught piano lessons since we were married in the early 80s. Her job helped us pay for groceries and gave us some extra money to put away for the future. But she doesn't have a job with a 401k or insurance benefits. How can I make sure that she'll be okay if something happens to me?
Well, I mean, in essence, the two of them, they do share all the assets, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. She will get the Social Security check of his and Mike's and such. But I mean, you can look at life insurance. That can be something potentially. The harder part is you get older. If they've been married for 35 years, I assume he's retiring probably pretty soon, right?
Yep.
And so, that's one of the tougher ones is, okay, how are you going to fund it? There are some specially designed life insurance where you can just put money in once, and sometimes those give you even long-term care benefits and some other things. So, and there's some that you can just pay like for 5 years or such. So, you could do something like that. But, again, it comes down to plan of, okay, how much assets do you have? Is it going to be enough? What happens if one of you are gone? Because, you get basically his Social Security check and then she would get half of it. When it passes away, then that half goes away. So, definitely time to do some planning and figure out what's the best way to go. But, life insurance can be one solution.
Okay, good to know. Life insurance, that's something new, really, that the insurance companies have come up with. So I love that. That's a possibility for income in retirement. So check it out if you have a question about that. Here's another question as we dig into our Wealth Creator mailbag from Megan. We weren't planning on leaving much for our kids after we passed, but now that our first grandchild has been born, we've changed our minds. She says we should have had the grandkids first. Have you heard that a lot, Eric?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. So her question is there a way for us to leave them each a little something after we're gone?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you can... first of all, put stuff in a 529 plan. That's owned by you. It's not owned by the parents. And that could be for any sort of education expense from high school on. So, it can be a good way to go. If you just want to say, I just want to make sure they get it and they can use it for whatever they want. There's a way to leave it with a uniform gift to minors account where they'll get it when they're 18 or 21. So there's different ways to leave some behind. You could also even leave some of your IRA to them. The only drawback there is they don't have to take some out until they're over 18. So they'll have some timeline between, depending on how old they are. And then once they're over 18, then they have to start spending it out a little bit quicker. So there are some good options out there. It's just, again, what makes most sense, what assets are you using right now? What's the best way to do some of those? One of the best ones actually to leave behind would be the Roth IRA, if they have any Roth money, because that Roth would not only grow tax-free till they're 18, but then grow even a little bit, several years after that even. So, it could be a really great way to have some long-term huge growth on stuff that's, tax-free, right? So, I mean, it all just takes education. And, one of the things that we've done is we've set up a lot of tools like, will my money last as long as I do? Am I paying too much money in taxes and in retirement? Social Security timing decision, all these types of fun stuff. A copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. That is all at our digital toolbox. And to get a copy of that, a link for it, all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And I want to mention in this toolbox, is Eric's book that he has written, Worry Less Wealth. And wouldn't you like to worry less, right, in retirement, and about what you need to do? So Eric and his team have been working with retirees for 30 years plus now, and they can help you come up with all kinds of strategies for whatever it is that you're facing or questioning about in retirement. And we just thank you so much for joining us today and spending part of your day with us. This is Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. We're digging into our Wealth Creator mailbag today. This next question, Eric, is from Sandra. She says, my husband and I are just starting to get serious about preparing for retirement. So we started going through all of our monthly expenses, and it was really eye-opening. I had no idea where all our money was going each month. But now what should we do?
Spend less? No, just
spend
kidding.
Less. Yes.
Yeah. So, kind of curious how old Sandra is, because they're just now getting serious.
To tell,
hopefully they're 40s or 50s and not in their 60s.
Right.
So. No, I think one of the best things you can do is the what I like to call the no BS budget, and what that is that's where you look at the last 12 months bank statements, you add up all your withdrawals, and then you divide by 12. So if you're paying off your credit card every month with that checking account, there's no need to go look at your credit card statement, so you can still get your points and rewards, right? But in terms of the actual bank account, if you add up all those withdrawals, divide by 12, that is really what you spent. And I bet, if Sandra did that, she'd find out that they're probably spending a little bit more than she even thought.
I bet.
Because there's a lot of stuff that we don't count, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it might be property taxes, might be, car, homeowner, there's some stuff where we pay once a year or twice a year, and then just stuff like Christmas time, right? Gifts and other things. And, some of that might not be ongoing or, repetitious, but it's one that is there, right? And and then also when you think about retirement, you've got 7 days a weekend, not 2. So all those things you don't have time for, hey, guess what? You got time to do it. You got time to go out and have fun. And so that could be one of the problems too, is you might actually be spending a lot more in retirement. So yeah, really what you want to do is have a plan. So once you get that number, because that is one of the critical numbers for retirement planning, is, and you have to have a personalized income plan. So once you have that personalized income plan, you can say, oh, okay, now that I've got, how much I need to spend, how much income, where's that money going to come from? And, then that's when it's pretty easy. But you definitely want to get a good number on that spending level.
Okay. Love it. One last question for you. This is from Dwayne. He says, I'm planning a relatively simple, quiet retirement. I've done most of the traveling that I wanted to do. Only have a couple places that I'd like to see someday. If I don't have anything big planned, is there really that much I should do for a retirement plan?
Well, I mean, you could give it to other people. No. No.
Yeah.
I think you still want to have a retirement plan, because you still want to make sure that everything, is on track. Everything's going to be able to let you stay relatively quiet and simple, right? And, one of the other things to look at is, even if you're not maybe keeping all the money when you're gone, you want to still pay the least amount of tax. So maybe you should be doing Roth conversions. Maybe you should be doing some other tax moves just to lower your personal tax bill, because nobody likes paying taxes. I don't care, right? I don't care who you are. Even if you don't need the money that much, you still don't want to pay that taxes if you can help it. And so, that could be one of the things to be, maybe focusing on. And, and then maybe, you start doing some other charitable stuff, or, is there a long-term care plan for it? Have you thought about that? You just want to make sure all those areas of not only just the income plan, but how are your investments doing? What's the risk level? What's the taxes you're going to pay? What's that healthcare journey going to be like? And, lastly, who gets the money when you're gone? So, that's the 5 areas that we cover when we talk about the blueprint to worry less wealth. And, once you have that plan, you can feel confident and feel good and know you're going to be all set. And, that's really what we're here for, is helping people, make sure that they can not only retire, but stay retired and not have to go back to work or worry about everything. We want you to worry less. And that's why it's worry less wealth, right? So one of the things that you can do, again, is grab that digital toolbox. That toolbox is a great thing to have. It's lots of great information in my book, Worry Less Wealth, lots of other stuff about Social Security, taxes, everything in there, and even set a time to meet with me. So all you got to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will the roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is properly built and maintained, you'll be fine. But what about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a great run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather the financial storm? Now may be a great time to have your retirement plan inspected. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial at 800-454-1184 now. Eric will examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Eric Heckman of Heckman Financial today at 800-454-1184. That's 800-454-1184. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor.
Hi, thanks for joining us today. So happy to have you along. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. And on our show, we often talk about challenges and risks that happen in retirement. So right now, we're going to have Eric give us an example of someone who has experienced one of those retirement obstacles. We call this our financial fail. And this is because we want to learn from, what people have done or experienced and to try to avoid that and not do it. So Eric, tell us about what you have for us.
Yeah, well, this is a client, Don and Anna, and he had been having health issues for quite some time, and he was actually out on Social Security disability. He was able to qualify for that, which usually you have to be fairly ill and have issues and stuff, and especially with COVID, he just could not work, and so that was fine. But then she started getting jealous, right? Oh. He's home all the time. I'm working, and so she wanted to retire, and we've run the numbers a few times, but what we ran originally, what they were going to be spending, and now what they're withdrawing is massively different. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh well, we wanted to do some improvements on the house too, and we wanted to do this, and well, most of their money's in taxable accounts, so it's not just you don't just take out $20,000 to get $20,000. You have to take out 26 to net 20,000, right? And we just recently met, and when I was looking at their tax statements and looking at how much they fully withdrew, she likes to run her own money, and I just help him with his. And but we do the planning together, and we updated her values and such. And I mean, they're still doing kind of okay, but I mean, they do have a lot saved up. They've got about $1.5 million saved up, so that part's great. But they took out about $120,000 last year, so or actually, I think it was a little bit more than that, which. They're getting up to almost a 10% withdrawal rate, and this is when they're in their 60s. So that's one thing to have that big a withdrawal rate when you're in your 70s or 80s, but that early on, that eats up all that money that can't now grow over time, right? Can't compound, it can't keep getting bigger. So it's one of these things where he keeps going, I really think she should go back to work or go look for a job. Just because, they are worried about it, about how long is everything going to last. And right now, they definitely have another 15 years, but you don't want to be 78 and all of a sudden find out you should be going back to work, right? So
no way.
That's a little tough at that age, and to be doing. So, the nice part is, at least with the income plan, we can be looking at this, we can be seeing this, we can be monitoring it in real time and going, okay, well, you gotta need to stop doing some of these improvements or stop doing some of those fun stuff you're doing or whatever, right? and kind of mellow down the spending, but that's the hard part. Thank you for tuning in to Wealth Creator Radio. I'm Eric Heckman, and it's been a pleasure guiding you towards a more confident and secure retirement. Remember, my responsibility is to always do what's right for you, our client. Together, we can cut out that fancy-sounding financial jargon that doesn't help and focus on what truly matters for your financial future. If you're ready to take control of your retirement planning and build a personalized income plan, contact us at 800-454-1184 and text the word Toolbox to schedule a complimentary consultation. If you're looking for more resources and tools to build your retirement future, don't forget to check out that Wealth Creator Toolbox, your toolkit for a secure and confident retirement journey. Until next time, retire more and worry less with Wealth Creator Radio.
Information provided during Wealth Creator Radio is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. Eric Heckman offers investment advisory services through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Any tax advice given as part of this presentation is not intended to be used and cannot be used by the taxpayer for the purpose of avoiding tax penalties or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any matter or transaction addressed herein. The views and opinions expressed in the program are not necessarily those of the radio station or its sponsors, and they should not construe as legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult the appropriate advisor before making any financial decision.